There you go. Cut up into pieces like that. Pretty yummy. Taste in just a second. Yeah, it's pretty good. Just a quick forward. This is not my recipe. This is a recipe from one of my university buddies. Still the best brownies I've had to date. If you're watching this, Nathan, thanks for the recipe. Alright, so here's the recipe. Relatively standard brownie. You're going to use 1 stick of butter. I do explain the process, but you're going to brown it. Basically cook the milk solids until they turn dark brown. I completely forgot to add 18 grams of milk to bring it back up. If you do the same, you'll survive, but ideally, once the butter is cooled, you add a little bit of milk back in. Milk weighs about the same as water, so 18 grams is 18 milliliters or so. You're going to use 140 grams of semi-sweet chocolate chips and 30 grams of dark chocolate. So, here's the thing. If you don't have dark chocolate, you only have semi-sweet, then whatever. Just send it to 170 grams of semi-sweet and call it. But I would recommend adjusting the sugar down from 325 grams to 300. For the dry ingredients, you're going to have 100 grams of flour, 46 grams of cocoa powder, 3 large eggs, so about 170 grams of eggs if you got different sized eggs. And if you don't use salted butter for this, most people happen to have salted butter, it's the default, just add a pinch of salt to compensate if you have unsalted butter. Now, if it's going to be a while until someone eats the brownies, let's say you're making it for a potluck or event or whatever in a few days, you're just too busy to make it the night before the day of, half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of glycerin. Just a little bit. Keeps it moist, and it's not an insane amount. You're not a commercial bakery, you don't need a lot of it. That's about it. Let's get to the recipe. Okay, so we're making brownies today. Just to start here, you're going to get about 1 stick of butter. Not a block, but a stick. If you buy your butter in the form of sticks, you're fine. If you buy it in a block, you're going to want to use about 1/4 of it, okay? Dealer's choice which one you use. I'm going to divvy this up a little better here. Oh, that's exciting. Okay. So, it's about 1 block worth of butter here. You're going to take that. You're going to bring it over to your pan. Drop it in. So, for the initial heating of the butter, you can do a relatively high temperature, doesn't matter. Just get it melted. Our goal here is to brown the butter. We'll need light for that, so I'm going to turn the light on, okay? Wrap up your butter, put it away. Or off to the side. I'll deal with it later off camera. Now, I've got a scale here. I'm going to tare it. Maybe that's melting a little too fast. I don't want to burn the plastic handles here. Okay, you're going to take your semi-sweet chocolate. You're going to do about 140 grams of that. Doesn't matter if you get it in chunks, chips, doesn't matter. Okay, 145, that's fine. Oh, now, tare it. You want 30 grams of dark chocolate, so about 50% cocoa or more, ideally. Good enough. Now, you're going to want to tare it again. Okay, I'm going to be adding about 325 grams of sugar. If you do all semi-sweet, if you don't do any dark chocolate, you don't really need to balance out the cocoa much. You can do 300 grams of sugar instead of 325. So I'm going to add that now. I'm going to re-tare. Okay. Very nice. Now, we're going to put this off to the side for a bit. We're going to check on our butter. Yep. Magic trick. Butter's almost melted. We've turned down the burner almost all the way here. And we're just going to let this keep going until it browns. So this is our wet ingredients, more or less. This is going to be mixed with the butter later and then cooked in a double boiler. Now, speaking of the double boiler, we can start to get this going. Now, ideally, when you have a double boiler, you don't want the water touching the bottom of the bowl. However, the water is very clearly going to touch the bottom of the bowl in this scenario. Now, This means that while the temperature is still going to be steady at about 100 degrees C, the actual rate of heat transfer is going to be much higher because water can transfer heat much quicker than steam. For our purposes, we're not really worried, I guess, about rapid heating. We don't have to worry about anything coagulating. We just don't want it to burn, which is why we're using water to regulate the temperature at 100 degrees C. We're going to use it to melt the chocolate and everything. Okay, water's here. Just going to put that on the stove and try to get it boiling here. Okay, so in the meantime, we're also going to do the dry ingredients. We're going to add 46 grams of cocoa. I know it seems like a weird measurement, but it tastes quite good. You don't have to be too precise about this. If you end up doing all semi-sweet, you can add a little bit more cocoa to offset. Look at that, 46 grams. Close enough. Now, we're also going to do 100 grams of flour. Bingo! So, that's about 2 scoops of a 1/4 cup, so that's about half a cup of flour. With that, our dry ingredients are now also done, so we can put those off to the side. If it's humid, you can put tin foil over it or do it later, it doesn't matter. But for now, it's just good to know that all our ingredients are measured. You're going to continue waiting for the butter to brown for the next little while. Continue heating your pot. All your measurements are basically done. You can put away your scale and all those wet and dry ingredients now. Okay, so this is about as brown as I'd like it. I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but it's very nice and dark brown. At this point, you're going to transfer it to the double boiler. Well, pseudo double boiler. Use a heat-proof spatula. Don't use one that will melt. That will really ruin your day. Okay, now that the double boiler is at a boil, you can turn it down a bit. You don't want it to use up all the water. You're also going to add in the rest of your wet ingredients. You're going to want to use a hard spatula for this. You can see it's really steaming. But you just want to make sure all the sugar and everything is dissolved. I'm going to put on a glove to stabilize. You don't want to give yourself a steam burn. And while the bowl doesn't look hot, it will scald you instantly. As the chocolate melts, it'll form fluid. Everything will dissolve in the sugar, and it'll form a homogeneous mixture. Just let it rest for a bit and do its thing here. Now I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of glycerin. You don't need a lot of it, just a little. Some will advise anywhere from like 1 to 3 teaspoons. I think just a little is enough to do it. You're not like a commercial bakery, you don't need a lot of it. Okay, so at this point, your mixture, very fluid, it's relatively melted. You can still probably see some grains. I wouldn't worry about that too much. The majority of it's molten, so you're good. So you can turn off your heat and take it off. It's been about 10 minutes or so, 10-15 at this point. You're just going to take it off heat and allow it to cool down quite a bit, okay? Come back when you're able to touch the bowl for a couple seconds without burning. Okay, so while you're waiting for your stuff to cool, you have a few minutes here. You're going to want to take an 8x8 glass dish. PYREX is ideal. Fun fact, if the PYREX on the dish is lowercase, that means it's made out of lime soda glass and not borosilicate glass, which means it will shatter if it has any kind of severe thermal shock, like 200 Fahrenheit or so. So straight from the oven onto a cold counter, it'll explode. However, if it's borosilicate, like this one is, it won't explode. Fun fact. And that's based off whether it's capitalized. Cool little nugget. Now, you're going to take like half a stick of butter. Now, you could use less, but it's not going to taste nearly as good. And you're just going to rub down the whole thing with your very clean hands that you washed. Very important. Okay. Simple as. Okay, while everything's still cooling, you're going to turn on your oven. Now, if you don't have a convection oven, you're going to do 350. If you do have a convection oven, you're going to do 375. Because I have a, oopsies. Because I have a convection oven, I'm going to do 375 bake, not roast, just for reference. Just get it heated up. I'm going to take a look at this, check how hot it is. Still scalds my hand in about half a second. So it just needs a little bit more time here to cool off, about another 5 minutes. It's been about 8 minutes at this point, 8 or 10 minutes. The reason you're cooling it is because you don't want it to cook your eggs when you add them in. Okay, so at this point, I can hold it from the bottom without getting burned. It's warm, but it's fine. Move this off to the side for a second. Counter's clean, don't worry. So, you're going to take your dry ingredients. You're going to add them in. You're going to whisk everything up. Okay, introduce an egg. You're going to do a total of 3, about 170 grams. If you don't want to measure it, you can look at your box, and it says here for mine, 2 large eggs, 105 grams. So 3 of them is about 157.5, so about 170. Okay, that's one. Temp storage. Okay, I'm gonna add another egg. Okay. Now I'm gonna add one last egg here. Okay. Splendid. Gonna inject. Put this off to the side. Now you're gonna want to take your batter and put it into your pan here. Use a spat. This stuff is very sticky. It'll even stick to your spatula. Dead serious. Give it some time, try to have it flatten it out. Oven is still heating up, so it's got some time here to flatten. You want to minimize the stuff that sticks to the sides, because that stuff might burn while you're cooking. But when you're spreading it, you also don't want to pull too much of the butter off the sides, because you won't be able to get it out later. Okay, so that's perfectly spread. Put on top of the stove to wait to go in. So it's taking a while to get up to temp due to the high humidity. We're going to put this in the oven here. Being very careful not to burn our hands. We're going to set a timer for about 40 minutes here. Better to be a little crispy than a little undercooked. You can still check it at the 35-minute mark or 30-minute if you want. But we're just going to leave that for now and allow it to cook. Okay, so the timer's just gone off. I'm going to pull it out. Be careful not to burn your arm on the heating element. See, it's very nicely crisped. It's going to be quite salty at the edges because of the butter. You know, there's always someone that likes the edges. Just going to put it down, let it rest. I'm using cork, because even though I have good PYREX, if you use a metal trivet, there is the chance that it explodes. Literally. So, you can see it's cooked through. Barely any crumbs, and this is a fudgy brownie, so if you don't see anything on the first insertion, then it's perfect. It's perfectly cooked through. We even go to the center, which is going to stick now I've done it twice. Oh no, we're good. So, brownie's done, we just gotta let it cool now. Okay. Alrighty. So, this is hot enough to handle. I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna flip it out. That's crazy. What a beautiful brownie. Truly, truly splendid. Wow. It's mysteriously all back in one piece. That's crazy. Oh my goodness, a piece of paper has magically appeared to flip it. Oh wow. Oh, it's all in one piece. Look at that. That's crazy. There you go. Cut up into pieces like that. Pretty yummy. Taste in just a second. Yeah, it's pretty good. Enjoy your cooking.